Welcome back to the Scrapyard, guys. Reimagined here, and today we're going to have a look at a bit of a recap of Blizzconline. You may not have had enough time to pay attention to everything that was said or mentioned, so I'm hoping today in this video that we will kind of take the 5 main points that everyone should take away for things going forward in Hearthstone. As always, if you like these kinds of videos, please hit like, subscribe. It really helps me be found, and I really appreciate it, and it makes me feel nice, so please be nice. Let's get into it. First up, they released the name of the new year. It's going to be Year of the Griffin, and with that, the first expansion is going to be Forged in the Barrens. Now, this had already been leaked a few days ago, but they're just sort of confirming it now. We don't have concrete release dates, but essentially 135 new cards are going to be dropped, new keywords and spells and cards and all that cool stuff. That leads me into point number 2. We get 2 new types of cards. So first up is we have a new keyword. It's called Frenzy, and essentially what that means is a unit triggers its ability if it takes damage and doesn't die. So for example, the card that they showed us is Blade Master Samuro, and he's a rush minion. He's 4 mana, 1/6. Frenzy, deal damage equal to this minion's attack to all enemy minions. He hits the board, rushes, damages 1 minion. If he survives, then he'll deal 1 damage to all of the other enemy's minions. Looking forward to other cards that have the similar keyword and see what they do. Other new type of card that they introduced was Evolving Spells. So the example that they showed in the release was Chain Lightning. This card essentially ranks up the longer the game goes on. At the very beginning of the game, it deals 2 damage to a minion and a random adjacent one. When you hit 5 mana, it deals 3 damage to a minion and a random adjacent one. And then when you hit 10 mana, it deals 4 damage to a minion and a random adjacent one. So a really cool ability that cards that have functionality no matter what stage in the game you're at. That sounds pretty cool. Number 3 on the list is, in my personal opinion, the biggest change or the biggest news to come out of BlizzConline. We did know a little bit about it before, but they kind of fleshed it out a little bit, is the addition of the core set. 235 cards that every player has access to free straight from the drop. It means that returning players don't have to worry about cards that they didn't own in the last couple of years, and it means that new players can start playing Hearthstone and not be conscious of all of the baggage of the last 6 to 7 years that they haven't maybe purchased, because that I think is one of the biggest barriers to entry to Hearthstone at the moment. There's going to be, cards that have always been in Hearthstone. They're going to bring back some wild cards. They've actually reimagined a few other cards, which is going to be my next point. These 235 cards, they're actually going to rotate again next year into a new set, a new core set of 230, well, I'm assuming 235 cards, but it just means that every year it will refresh the meta. It's going to be super cool. I can't wait for it. That brings me to point 4, is the addition or the reimagining of existing cards as sort of new cards adding to this core set. So they teased 3 cards, the 3 big dragons. You have Ysera, Deathwing, and Malygos, all doing very similar things to what they did before, but just slightly different and maybe a better fit to this core set. A nice update to these cards that people want to play but traditionally cannot play because their abilities are potentially a little bit out of date, potentially don't fit metas or fit decks because there are just better options there. So people want to play Malygos, people want to play Deathwing, want to play Ysera, but feel like they can't because there's just better options available. So hopefully these reimaginings will bring these cards back into the meta. It's such a cool idea. I can't wait to see what the next updates or reimaginings are going to be. Lastly, and I think a really cool addition, is they've announced a new mode, and that is Hearthstone's Mercenaries. Details on this are a little bit sketchy at the minute, but we have a couple of good ideas of what it's going to look like. They've sort of said it's going to be the take on Slay the Spire, if you're familiar with that sort of roguelike deck building adventure mode. Essentially, there's a couple of details here that are important. You will not need your collection for this mode, so it's like Battlegrounds. It doesn't require you to have a collection, so I think you can play it straight from the get-go. Progression is going to be permanent, so essentially you assemble a squad of 3 mercenaries and you progress through the dungeons or the tower or however this is going to be portrayed, and you give them loot, give them gear, and as far as I'm aware, that gear and that loot is permanent going forward. I'm still a little bit hazy as what permanent means. Permanent for that particular run or permanent forever going forward when you're playing mercenaries. You also find more mercenaries by progressing in the game, so you might start off with a limited mercenary pool and then find more and add them to your warbands, and then obviously there might be synergies between the different mercenary groups that you have, who knows? Again, like, this is all a little bit hazy. The map itself is very much like Slay the Spire. If you've played that game, you progress along a certain path, you pick your path, you choose your route, you get encounters, battles, and things like that. If you fail a level, then you can try again. There will also be a PvP mode. We have virtually no details on this. Your mercenary group will fight against other players. For what? Again, I'm not sure. We're still learning. I think this is going to be a super cool addition to people who don't want to play, particularly who might want like the card aspect. They might like the battleground side of Hearthstone, don't need to have an existing collection. I'm sure there will be a bonus for putting money into it, but like Battlegrounds, potentially you can play it free to play and still compete well. Really looking forward to Mercenaries. I'm a big fan of Slay the Spire, so combining these two aspects, roguelikes, adventures, adding loot, gaining gear, that just hits all the buttons for me. I hope it does for you guys as well. That's been the 5 top takeaways that I had from BlizzCon Online. Let me know if there's any other points that you liked about BlizzCon Online. As always, hit like, subscribe, do all those things, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.